there, it's Sarah, still keeping you 12-minute fit on your busiest days, because when you improve your fitness, you improve your life. You probably already know that more muscle mass leads to better metabolism, and when you work those larger muscles, you burn more calories. Today, we're going to be working some of our biggest muscles, the leg muscles. For the next 12 minutes, you will be standing. You don't need much space, and if you need a little assistance with your balance, you will need a wall or a table or a countertop, somewhere you can lightly place your hand to help you with your balance when we move to our single leg work. We're going to take no breaks today. We're going to work for 40 seconds with each exercise. We're going to start with our feet about hip distance apart, maybe slightly wider, whatever feels better for you today. Your feet are slightly turned out, mostly parallel, and we're just going to sit our hips back and down into an easy squat for 40 seconds. Start warming up those leg muscles by sitting the hips back and down, bending the knees over the middle toe, keeping the chest proud, the belly button tight towards your spine. Sit into those heels and really press them into the floor as you come up. Try to keep those toes a little bit lighter on the floor. And check in with those knees, making sure that they're staying parallel, that they're not rolling in or flaring out. Keeping that belly button up and in will support our low back as we go into our hip hinge next. So when you hear the bell, keep your legs straight, but your knees soft. And we're just going to hinge from the hips, bring the chest down, and then squeeze the glutes and bring yourself back up. Push those hips back behind your heels. Keep the knees soft and the spine long and straight. So those shoulders are staying back in line with those hips. Pressing into those heels, you should be warming up those hamstrings. Squeeze the glutes as you rise. 15 more seconds here. Then we're going to put our squat with our hinge. So if you want to step your feet a little bit wider, if that helps with your hip mobility, you can take those feet out an inch or two, and you'll sit into your squat, and then you're going to lift the hips, bring the chest down. Sit the hips back down, lift the chest. Straighten the legs as you lift the hips, bend them back over the center of the foot as you bring those hips back down. Keep pressing into those heels. Try to keep that back long and straight. And we're supporting that spine with that super strong core. Draw that belly button up. And try to hollow your belly just a little bit. Continue to breathe. You have 8 more seconds. Then we're going to that single leg work. If at any time you need help with your balance, just lightly place your hand on a wall or a tabletop. Tap one foot behind you and let's hinge from those hips. Pressing into that standing heel, keeping that back foot light. Again, we're keeping the back straight and we're sending those hips back behind the standing heel without twisting the hips or the shoulders. For now, that back foot stays light. When you hear the bell, shift some weight into that foot because we're going to bend our knees into an offset squat. So at the bell, the chest will stay up, the hips will sit back, and we bend those knees. Now you decide how low you're going to bend into these knees. I like to try to get as low as I can, almost all the way down. If that doesn't work for your knees or even your hip mobility or your ankle mobility, that's okay. You can stay high. Focus on those knees staying parallel. We don't want them rolling in or flaring out. Chest up, core tight. Feel the quad, hip, and some glute. Really press into that front heel. Feel the ball of that back foot. We're going to stand tall. And we're going to kick this back leg behind us and then tap the foot back in. Kick it back, tap the toe. Without twisting the hips, really squeeze the glute. Keep a slight bend in the standing leg. Keep the chest lifted. Try to flex the foot and kick through the heel without moving the hips. Squeeze that glute and lift as high as you can behind you without taking the hip with you. 5 more seconds, then we're going to step this foot back. So the foot that's moving will step back long and wide, keep the heel up, and then bend those knees into a lunge. Split the weight between your feet. Feel all 5 toes of the back foot and that heel lifted. Keep the front toes a little lighter and press into that front heel. Check in with that front knee. We don't want it going past that front big toe, and we want it going over the middle of the foot. That back knee is coming down under our hip. Keeping that chest lifted and those hips squared. Remember that hip hinge we did with our squat? We're going to add that to our lunge. So as we bring the legs straight, we're going to bring the chest down. Then lift the chest, bend the knees into your lunge. So as you straighten the legs, you're going to push the hips back just a little bit and drop the chest forward just a little bit. Getting more work in the hamstring. Feeling that hip working extra hard. Keeping that core tight. If at any time you need a break, you are welcome to take one, especially if you're starting to feel some calf in that back foot, that back leg. If it needs a little shake, shake it out. We're going to stand up, take that back leg, keep it straight, and just lift it lower. Try to flex the foot, and then send some energy out of the side of the foot. Keeping those hips as level as you can. Keeping a slight bend in that standing leg. That standing hip should be saying hi. It's doing a lot of work. And that back glute and outer hip is also doing a lot of work. You can tap down for balance. You can keep the foot lifted. We're coming back to our squat in 5 seconds. If you need a break, now is a great time to take it. Feet back under those hips are a little bit wider. Sit the hips back and down. Knees bend over the middle of the foot. Lift the chest. Try to keep those ribs right over the thighs as you push those hips behind you. Sitting into those heels. Try to squeeze the glutes the whole way up. Try to keep the knees soft when you get to the top. And don't bring those hips forward of the shoulders. Keep them right under the shoulders at the top. Sit them back behind you at the bottom. Keeping the legs straight when you hear your bell. Keeping those knees soft. We're going to hinge from the hips. Bring the chest down, press into the heels, bring your chest back up. Make sure those hips are going back until you feel a little stretch down the back of the legs. And then squeeze those glutes to bring yourself back to standing. Really push into those heels and see if you can activate the back of the legs just a little bit more. 12 more seconds. Keep that back long and straight. We're going to put our squat and our hinge together right here at the bell. So we squat, then we hinge, straighten the legs, bend them back. Tip forward, lift the chest back up as you sit into those heels and bring the hips back down. If you've done a few reps and you need a second to shake out those legs, you're welcome to do that at any time. You've got about 15 more seconds. Check in with those knees. Are they staying right over the center of the foot? Are those toes staying light? We're going to switch legs. Tapping that opposite foot back this time, hinging from the hips. Try to keep that back foot light as you push those hips back towards the heel. And then press into that standing heel, and we're not twisting the shoulders or the hips. We're using that strong core to keep everything still as we send those hips back and work that hamstring, hip, and glute. That back foot is still light, but get ready to bring some weight to it so we can keep the chest lifted and we can sit into that offset squat. Now you might find one side can go lower than the other side. Totally normal. Just pay attention to that, and the next time you hit play on this video, see if you can challenge your weaker side just a little bit more. Check in with those knees. Make sure they're staying parallel. They're not rolling in. They're not flaring out. We're pressing into the ball of the back foot, the heel of that front foot. And we're going as low as our body allows without losing that good form. Stay tall. Kick that back foot back, then tap the toes. Kick it back, tap it in. Remember, we're not taking the hips with it. We're going to keep them parallel, level, facing the front. Flex the foot and send some energy out of that heel as you extend your leg back. Try to press into that standing leg and keep it active. Contract those leg muscles. Feel that hip engage, even though it's not moving. In 5 seconds, we're going to step this foot behind us like we're on railroad tracks, not a tightrope. So step back wide and then drop into your lunge. We want to feel the ball of the back foot, the heel of the front foot. We want to feel those hips staying square to the front and those shoulders staying right over the hips. Core is tight. Front knee doesn't go past that front big toe, and it's staying right over the center of the foot. Back knee is coming down under that back hip. We're squeezing that back glute. We're going to add our hinge to this lunge. So as you straighten the legs, the chest comes down, and then as you bend the knees, you lift the chest. So we're going to send the hips back just a little bit as we straighten out those legs. Try to keep that front knee soft. Woo! If you need help with your balance, grab a table or a wall. This one can get tricky, especially on those tired legs. Shake it out anytime you need a little break, but your workout is almost done. Keep those hips square. We're going to that rear leg lift next. So keep the back leg straight, keep a little bend in that standing leg, flex your foot, little leg lift to the back. You can tap the toes for balance. If you feel those hips starting to twist, reset with the foot on the floor, and then go back to those leg lifts. Belly button tight to the spine, all the way to the bell. Keep that standing leg active. Really squeeze that back glute. Enjoy that burn you're feeling in the legs. 4 more seconds. Stay with it.
Activity completed.
12 minutes are done. If you've got another 12 minutes, balance it out maybe. Hit a workout for the arms, or maybe one for the core. Maybe those legs want a really good stretch. There's a little bit of everything here at 12 Minute Fit, so make sure you subscribe. Come back, hit play on another video. Improve that fitness 12 minutes at a time. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again.